Top Trader is brought to you by Sanlam iTrade and powered by Pegasus, now with a new Iris trading platform.
Charles D. Ellis, a famous professor of finance, published an article in 1975 called The Loser's Game in the Financial Analyst Journal. Now, it took him a good part of 30 years to learn how to win the loser's game, hence his latest book, Winning the Loser's Game. Now, in every trade, for there to be a winner, there must be a loser as well. In other words, if someone thinks they're getting a stock for a bargain price, the other person could potentially be selling at a discount at the bottom of the market and miss out on the rally. And then after all the costs are taken into consideration, there tend to be more losers than winners at the end of the game. Over to you, Nerina.
Sam, thank you. I think that's a very apt description to start us today on our journey that has been a great journey to turn, shall I call you losers into winners? No, not really. Started out with a lot of good qualities, but certainly needed some refinement in terms of technique and in terms of strategies. So we thought it worthwhile maybe to go back and consider some of those initial trading strategies that we were presented with, and maybe just get a view from the contestants in terms of how they feel today about those initial trading strategies that they put forward. Jared, I would like to start with you because I do remember the very initial strategy update that you gave us said, I'm going to buy Village Main Reef. That's it.
When I heard that I couldn't buy them because we were only trading on the Aussie, I was pretty upset, especially with the weeks to come with the increase that they experienced. I then realized with the Aussie, I started trading liquid shares, trading in and out over quite a long period of time. Initially, that strategy didn't go too well, so I had to change things, and I shall not speak about my current strategy in front of everyone else.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Stephen, the first email you sent to Nerina said, I like First Rand. I like it now, and I think on Monday I still am going to like it. So that's going to be my first pick. You've had a love affair with First Rand throughout this trading period. You still sticking to your guns?
It's funny you should say that. Just before this, I put another 50 grand into First Rand.
Every time when I speak to Gary and I say to Gary, what is your trading strategy? Gary comes up with, it's a little bit of a feel of this and a little bit of gut there, and does it look right and feel right and so on. So it doesn't seem as though Gary has taken too much to heart in terms of all these official strategies, being what I would call a gut trader, certainly not a gutless trader. Gary, your comments?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. There's so many factors at play in individual stocks that could be moving up and down, which there could be news coming out suddenly that shares going to take off. Meanwhile, the technicals have shown that it's not looking great. So you need to sort of be able to adapt.
Good.
Promise. Some people trade with their head. Some people trade with their hearts. And it seems that some people trade with their stomachs. At least that's what it looked like when we saw your first stock pick list. I mean, you had Afgri on that, Tongaat, you had Alovo, you had Country Foods, Astral, Rainbow Chickens. I mean, all food producers, and then to wash it all down, you said we'll throw in a little bit of Sab Miller. But overall, I mean, what's the obsession with food producers?
Well, initially, my plan was, it was around about the time food prices were experiencing a spike or about to experience a spike. And yeah, that was my exposure into the food market, and it turned out pretty well because I mean, back then I was still before we had spoken about waiting and how to structure a portfolio, and so I was kind of all over the place. But I mean, overall, I think out of the 8 or so shares you mentioned, I think I made money out of the 7.
Khwetse, clearly when you sent us your original strategy, we hadn't had the lecture on quants yet. because I look back and I see that you said you were going to put 20% into a long-term growth portfolio, 20% into a buy and hold strategy. Still not quite sure what the difference between those two are. Maybe you can enlighten us. And then 40% based on momentum trades. But I never did quite get what you were going to do with the other 20% of your portfolio. Or was that going to be your sort of commission that you were going to earn on the side?
Well, Nerina, initially the 20% was left for a contingency for intraday trading. And when we started this journey, I thought that, entering into it, I'm going to try and find those stocks that are beta heavy, that, for the 6-month duration, that can generate decent returns.
Saul, philosopher of the group, you decided to end off your strategy with a quote to Nerina. So let me just glance back at that. You were quoting Professor Paulus from Temple University, and he said, in stock markets, you can be right for the wrong reasons or wrong for the right reasons. So of course, when do you feel that you've been right for all the wrong reasons, as in you have got super lucky in this competition?
Sure. Well, in the last 2 weeks, I've experienced both, being right for the wrong reasons and wrong for the right reasons. So just to share that with you, with Harmony, I saw that there was going to be a run on the gold, and I felt the gold companies were going to benefit from this, and I decided to be, very eager and jump into my Harmony to watch them sliding down slowly but surely, and to be stop lossed out. But discipline is very important, so I stop lossed it, and of course the very next day Harmony started its colossal rise, up 5% one day, 2% the next day, another 3% the next day. But that is the game.
Well, that was all then. And of course, it's time to start the elimination round for this episode. Nerina, I'm going to hand it over to you to separate the bulls from the bears.
Thank you, Samantha. Yes, down to the last 6, as they say in the classics. And today we will only have buy and sell recommendations. So I'm going to start off by asking 2 of you to come and stand in front of the group. And one of you will be representing the buy group and one of you will be representing the sell group. So Gary, if you would like to get up and stand in front of your chair. There we go. And Promise, would you please get up for us and form a separate group from Gary? Promise, would you like to start off? Are you a buy or a sell today?
What, against Gary? Sell. I'll say sell. Sell.
Let's see if Gary agrees with you. Gary, are you a buy or a sell today?
I don't know what all the hype is about, me being labeled as a favorite or something, so I'm not quite sure about that. And of late, I've had 1 or 2 trades that haven't really gone my way, but I'm going to be confident and I'm going to agree with Promise, and I'm going to go with buy.
Okay, let's start here on this side with Stephen. Stephen, if you now have to choose which of these 2, you don't have to get up just yet, but which of these 2 would you think you belong with in terms of the buy or the sell? So you're allowed to disagree with them also in terms of whether you think which is the buy and which is the sell, and then where do you see yourself belonging today?
Well, because I'm a sucker for historical numbers, I'm going to guess that Promise is a buy. And I guess since I've got a put that turns me into a long call with no downside risk, I'd call myself a buy.
Okay, all right. Khwetse, let's hear it from you.
I'd have to agree with what Promise and Gary have said, that one is sell, the other's buy. I think Promise is a sell and Gary's a buy. Maybe it's because of the confidence. Gary's confident that he's a buy and Promise is confident that he's a sell. So I'm a winner, so I'm putting myself in the buy.
Right. Saul, where do you put yourself?
I have to be confident. Had a good few weeks, and I'm going to put myself in a buy.
Okay. Jared, where do you put yourself today? You didn't have a very particular good run on the Discovery Challenge and ended up in the sell group for the first time.
Luckily, I didn't put any of my money into Discovery. So I'm going to remain in the buy, hopefully.
So I guess you're true to many analysts. You make very bad recommendations and then don't follow them.
100%.
There we go. That's a fantastic point to make.
Jared, on that basis, then I'm going to ask you to please join Promise. You'll find out sooner or later whether that is the buy or the sell group. Stephen, seeing that you would like to put yourself with Gary in the same group, go up Go and join him. Welcome to join Gary. You know what? Too late to change your mind. This retrospective trading doesn't work on the elimination round. And then Khoitse, I'm going to put you alongside Gary and Stephen, if you would like to join the two of them. And Saul, clearly that leaves the last open spot for you to be on the right-hand side. I'm going to start off by asking the buy group to leave the stage for us. We don't need them to stick around any longer. It seems like they need to go and sharpen their pencils some more for the next stretch. So I'm afraid that both Promise and Gary were wrong. The buy group today is Saul, Promise, and Jared. Congratulations, guys.
Gary, in the sell group, how does that feel?
Yeah, I did say I was a buy, but I can understand being a sell. Since we've last been here, my growth has sort of petered out a little. There've been a few losing trades, and as I'm taking on more size and getting bigger positions, a losing trade is getting exponentially bigger.
Stephen, you have a certain tie around your neck.
I'm hoping that it helps me dodge a bullet today.
You got this tie because you won a challenge, and if you get eliminated today, you're going to come straight back in. Khoitse, it's tough to see you here because you really fill the room with a lot of laughter and joy, but where's your trading strategy going wrong right now?
Samantha, I think my trading strategy went very wrong with Discovery. I regret it. If I could go back, I wouldn't touch it.
I hope this is not the last bit of advice that I can give you. But what I would like to say is, as much as you regret your Discovery trade, don't only focus on what has happened, and remember that maybe the fact that it's fallen does represent a buying opportunity. So once again, separate the emotion and the regret about the sale that you've done from where are we now and looking forward, what represents a good investment opportunity. Gary, I think you've said yourself that you've been trampled by the bulls a bit these last couple of weeks. Khoitse, I think you've been mauled by the bears to some extent, taking that Discovery trade down into the red. Stephen, you discovered that there was more to life than first rand. One of you will be set free today to go out into the real world and go and test your skills that you've acquired. Who will it be? Stephen, I think it's time that you bring that tie to me and swap it for a potential further place in this competition.
Stephen, you have been saved this time around. Congratulations on winning that challenge and being able to use the tie, but you have been in the bottom three far too many times.
Well, there's a little bit more time now between this and the next elimination opportunity, and I think the past 2 weeks haven't been too bad up until pretty much we started filming. That was when everything went mostly pear-shaped. So if I keep up that kind of performance, I might be able to edge myself up into the next group, and presuming there's another challenge up, maybe I'll win that.